Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News Weekend. A Chiefs organization in Manitoba has announced a return date for its Grand Chief that has been on leave following a fight outside of a bar in Ottawa earlier this month. Jerry Daniels of the Southern Chiefs organization was sent to hospital following the altercation ahead of the Assembly of First Nations Assembly. Meanwhile, APTN News has obtained a letter Daniels has sent to SCO chiefs, staff, and others expressing how sorry he is. Email on Thursday, SCO says Daniels has recently met with the SCO's Chiefs Executive Committee, CEO, and 2 knowledge keepers. The email says the Grand Chief will be returning from his leave on January 6th. In the letter from Daniels obtained by APTN, Daniels says, quote, "I will do better. The past few weeks have been a wake-up call, and I recognize the need for a change in my lifestyle. Just like anyone who faces the shame of having personal struggles laid bare, I wish I had been honest sooner about my challenges with alcohol." The letter goes on to say that Daniels knows an apology alone is not enough. He has committed to a treatment plan that includes traditional ceremony and an alcohol treatment program. Daniels thanks the Chiefs Executive Committee for supporting him with his trauma. He is proposing a restorative justice model to resolve the incident that occurred. Several members of Liard First Nation in the community of Watson Lake say they've had it with their chief. On Tuesday, members held a community meeting to discuss their concerns about their chief's leadership, or as some members would say, lack thereof. Here's Sarah Connors with more.
It's been a really rough term.
2 resolutions were proposed, a non-confidence motion and a motion to suspend Chief Stephen Charlie. Those in attendance in person and online voted in favor of the motions. Despite being invited, Charlie didn't show up.
Why isn't he here? Why is he not here to hear what the problems are?
In October, Liard's deputy chief and 4 other councillors wrote a letter to Chief Charlie saying they had lost confidence in his leadership. They accused him of failing to collaborate with council, unilateral decision-making, and workplace bullying, among other things. Most of Liard Council's members say the chief refuses to hold council meetings, leaving them in the dark.
The people are telling him that this is not right, and the way that he's leading is not right.
And the rest of the community is taking notice. 4 Liard First Nation women recently formed a collective, Dina Otnazan, to bring accountability to their elected leaders. The group, which spearheaded the community meeting, is also circulating a petition to suspend the chief. 170 signatures have been collected as of Wednesday.
And the more we spoke out, the more other people spoke out. They're still speaking out quietly, but they're there.
Liard's election code requires 50% plus 1 of its roughly 1,000 eligible voters to officially suspend the chief. But Dene Otnazan say many community members are behind them and they'll continue to collect signatures. They say if all goes to plan, a by-election will be held in the spring to elect a new chief.
We're hoping that with Council of the Whole kind of taking back the reins and having like the by-election, eventually things will start to be rescinded.
Chief Charlie said in a statement on social media the accusations against him are inaccurate and unfounded. He said those behind the movement to remove him don't have the authority to do so under the First Nations election code, and he intends to serve the rest of his term. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
On September 9th, 2021, 9-year-old Bailey Maurice was killed in a car accident on her way to school. The driver was accused of being impaired, but that charge was stayed. At a press conference this week, the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations and friends of Bailey's family demanded justice. APTN's Rachel May was there.
Taylor Kennedy admitted to vaping marijuana and microdosing magic mushrooms the day before she hit Bailey and killed her in a crosswalk on her way to school. Kennedy was charged with impaired driving causing death for having marijuana in her bloodstream. Under Canadian law, criminal trials must end within 18 months. Kennedy's took almost 2 years. Last week, Judge Jane Watton ruled Kennedy was not tried within a reasonable time and stayed the charges, meaning they could come up again if she reoffends. Sarah Smokey Day, a family friend, spoke on behalf of Bailey's mother, Rochelle Dubois.
She's lost her voice, quite literally has lost her voice. From talking, crying, yelling, wanting to be heard. She asked for me to speak for her today because she's lost her voice.
Smokey Day said Kennedy's case should have gone to trial much sooner.
It took too long from the minute Bailey was killed. It took too long for the police to press charges. It took too long for things to get to court. It took too long to settle on a lawyer. It took too long to get through the court case. And the judge was perfectly fine with washing her hands of any decisions.
Craig McCollum, 4th Vice Chief of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, says Judge Watton's decision should be appealed. He also said that the chiefs have a proposal of its own, Bailey's Law.
There's 6 provisions within it. Number 1 is the prioritization of child victims. In cases where a child under 16 years of age has died as a result of the accused actions, the court must ensure that the interests of the child and their family are given enhanced consideration in both procedural timelines and outcomes.
Other provisions include protection against delays, prohibiting charges stayed in child death cases, tougher sentencing for impaired child fatalities, child victim advocacy, and a reevaluation of impaired driving laws. Since the trial began, Bailey's family has been attacked mercilessly on social media. McCollum urged the people behind the attacks to reflect on themselves before posting hateful comments.
I've seen the comments. It hurts. It's disheartening to know that there are people that have beliefs like that out there. And I would just ask them, what if it was your kid? Would you be saying the same thing?
The family is asking the public to pressure the Crown and Saskatchewan's Minister of Justice to appeal Judge Watton's decision. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
A clinical trial to treat a rare type of cancer has shown remarkable results for a young patient in BC. APTN's Tina House has more.
Emmett Doolin is now 2.5 years old and is a happy, playful, and energetic toddler. However, when Emmett's mom Lana was 34 weeks pregnant, her and her other mom Lena were told some devastating news about their unborn baby girl.
The ultrasound tech had told the physician that there was something wrong. There was water on our baby's brain and that we needed to be shipped out as soon as possible. By 11:30 that night, we were at BC Children's Hospital. We'd met close to 30 to 40 doctors in the few days that led up to Emmett's birth.
Doctors did a fetal MRI and concluded that Emmett had an aggressive brain tumor, and at a week old, they said results showed a rare type of cancer.
And they fully diagnosed her with a diffused midline glioma. So she has a tumor that sits on the left side of her brain, and where it sits is right on the middle.
She is one of only 3 in Canada that have it, and because of where the tumor is located, it's inoperable. She endured 2 rounds of chemo and numerous blood transfusions the first few months of her life, but the next rounds would have been life-altering for her.
The next set of chemo would have given her hearing loss, vision impairment, probably even mobility issues. We try to live every day like it's going to be her last, because we never know what's going to happen.
And then a miracle happened. Doctors at BC Children's Hospital told them that Emmett qualified for a clinical trial that was specific for her type of cancer and was intended to target her brain tumor without the side effects of chemo. So at 4 months old, they began medicine twice a day, and it's working. Her tumor has shrunk by 36%. Dr. Quinn Doan is with BC Children's Hospital and says Emmett's case is unique.
Emmett is a little miracle, just how she is, just how vivacious she is, but she's also a miracle because she had a condition that could have been fatal.
Dr. Doan says BC Children's Hospital is looking to expand a super hub that would see more clinical trials for other diseases available for children in BC and the Yukon.
So a clinical trial is a type of study that is looking specifically at whether or not certain interventions work or not, how safe they are. So these are usually therapeutic options that are not otherwise accessible.
Every month, the family travels from their home in northern BC for checkups with doctors, and so far, so good.
At first, it was very emotional, but seeing her grow every day and like hit milestones that she's supposed to hit, it's a wonderful feeling because we never thought that we would see that day.
And Emmett has a message for everyone.
Say peace out, homie.
Peace out, homie.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Still to come here tonight, a look at a documentary produced by APTN on the Idle No More movement. Stick around. Welcome back. A man who works with Indigenous inmates at the Stony Mountain Penitentiary is speaking out this week, calling for an end to the Phoenix pay system. He says he has basically been working for free and hasn't received a full paycheck for more than 3 months, leaving him and his family in a very difficult position right before Christmas. Creason Achkate has more.
And the Phoenix pay system really needs to go. It was poorly thought out, in my opinion.
After a 2-year recovery from long-term COVID, Wayne Robillard was looking forward to coming back to work this past fall at the Stony Mountain Institution north of Winnipeg. However, since September, he hasn't received a single correct paycheck and says he's out more than $6,000.
That's a huge chunk for anyone to pocket, to be able to say, hey, I'm just going to continue on dealing with this and knowing that I'm owed that much money when I could go find employment somewhere else and not have to worry about it, especially during the holiday season. This has caused an incredible amount of stress for myself and my family and my daughter.
Thankfully, his wife's income has kept them going, along with a September emergency advance. But they have had to use all of their savings just to cover the mortgage, and they still have numerous unpaid bills, among other things.
Because I sat on this side of the table with an empty plate while my daughters ate. I'm from Fisher River, so when they bring the Christmas hampers, and I've never really participated in that because I never really felt that I was in that pool where I had that need, and I never wanted to take food or the ability for someone to get food out of someone else's hand. So I've never gone for that. This year I went and picked up my hamper to make sure that my family had food over the holidays, you know.
In a statement to APTN News, a spokesperson with Public Service and Procurement Canada could not speak specifically to Robillard's case due to the Privacy Act, but said, "It is unacceptable for Government of Canada employees and former employees to face pay issues, including not receiving any pay at all. Employees deserve to get paid correctly and in a timely manner, and we recognize that anything less is unacceptable." Public Service and Procurement says the federal government has put in measures to try and mitigate pay issues impacting employees, including emergency salary advances to support employees who are facing pay problems. But Robillard says that has yet to happen for him and his family.
Food or gas or Christmas presents for your daughter or things like that, you know, like you shouldn't have to ever really worry about going without when you work for the federal government, especially when they're told many times that, get a government job, get a good pension and all that stuff, great benefits. Well, this so far is now affecting my pay and my benefits.
According to the federal government, the cost to fix the Phoenix pay system backlog is so far at $3.5 billion. And since October 2024, there are more than 408,000 unresolved Phoenix pay issue cases. 209,000 federal employees are still waiting.
We take this job to be financially stable, and this has provided me with nothing but financial instability since returning to work.
Houselessness has become a major concern in Canada. And in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Cookham, or grandmother, is doing everything she can to help those who need it. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
Geraldine Chick Stuber has been helping people for about 4 years. As someone who herself was houseless, she wanted to give something back.
And I'd go to Tim Hortons or wherever, 2, 3 in the morning on my travels. I'd come across someone that would need a blanket or something. So it just kind of, well, I'll just restock my blankets each time I run out. And it just kind of progressed from there. And then other people started hearing what I was doing, and then they wanted to help. And so we have like more and more people that are joining.
People like Ivana Hewitt. They have known each other for over a decade, working at this century-old hotel. Hewitt is a cook, and their group, Nistatapi Cookums, made up of diverse people who provide food on the weekends here, when other supports don't or can't do enough.
And the people that I help on the weekends, I help them, and they give back to me that they don't even know they have, right? Like, they don't realize that, you know, if I don't see one of them, I'll worry about them, and then when I see them, I'm so happy.
In addition to weekend meals, Nistatapi Cookums do much more.
It's a financial thing like covering rent, maybe needing meals, we'll give them food. They need clothes, we'll provide them those clothes or shoes or boots, because we have a really good community.
Last month, Geraldine spent 24 hours on the streets to raise awareness of the plight of people who are houseless. And she, Ivana, and her group have now gone even further.
Between her and I combining what our resources are together, she was actually able to open up these hotel rooms for them. And you know, she's now working in conjunction with housing, and we're able to get people off the street and into houses.
A Christmas gift for some people who need one. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Nice work. Today marks 12 years since the Idle No More movement changed the Canadian political landscape. Founded by 4 women on the prairies, it quickly spread like wildfire across the country, catalyzing a new generation of youth-led Indigenous activism. And to help commemorate the 12th anniversary of its first truly national day of action, December 21st, APTN News has just uploaded our sweeping retrospective on the movement to YouTube. Entitled The Power Was With Us, Idle No More, the 2-part feature-length docuseries can now be viewed by anyone worldwide. Here's a sneak preview for you, a chapter from part 2.
Meanwhile, at Winnipeg's busiest intersection, on a New Year's Eve set to plunge to -28.
But I remember walking up to there, and there was already people gathering up about that famous windy, cold corner of Portage and Main. The amount of people who were there, who showed up and just stormed the intersection, I was really surprised by that there were so many people willing to do that. It was just a super cold day. I remember it being so cold you could just hardly take off your mitts and not have your fingers freeze. It was really, really cold winter that winter, especially in Winnipeg and in all parts of the country.
I remember being cold, wet a lot of the time.
Because it happened in the teeth of winter, right? It happened from December into January, when winter is, usually at its harshest.
I think maybe the cold just really helped solidify that unity and how determined people were to get out there and show their views no matter what.
I think in a way we have this arrogance about ourselves as niche or Blackfoot or Cree or whatever, that we can handle any weather because we're from this land. This is in our blood, it's in our bones, and we have to put our bodies on the line. We have to, I think if things are too easy, then we don't feel like we're actually accomplishing anything. So the cold was just part of that. just made us feel really strong and powerful and at home in our own lands.
That was a clip from part 2 of the APTN News retrospective. The Power Was With Us, Idle No More. The 2-part feature-length docu-series can now be viewed worldwide on our APTN News YouTube page. Still to come tonight, we'll profile a young hockey player from the Yukon about to hit the national stage. Stick around. Welcome back. A young First Nations hockey player from the Yukon is no stranger to breaking records. And now he has another huge accomplishment under his belt. Sarah Connors has his story.
Parsani to McKenna in front, he scores!
Hockey star Gavin McKenna is celebrating what he says is a dream come true. On Friday, the 16-year-old Trondukwitchin citizen from Whitehorse was selected by Team Canada to play at the World Juniors that begin next week. He's the youngest player named in this year's Team Canada roster.
This is kind of the biggest accomplishment for me yet, I would say, and it's obviously going to be one I remember for the rest of my life.
McKenna is one of only 8 16-year-olds to be chosen for the World Juniors. That list includes the likes of Wayne Gretzky and Sidney Crosby. McKenna's mother says she couldn't be more proud.
He's wanted this literally since he's been, I don't know, like literally 2 years old. This has been a dream of his, so it's very exciting.
McKenna currently plays for the Medicine Hat Tigers, leading the Canadian Hockey League this season with an impressive 60 points in 30 games. While he isn't eligible for the NHL draft until 2026, experts predict he'll be the #1 pick. Those close to McKenna say he's gearing up to be the next big name in hockey.
I obviously think and believe that he's got a very bright future. I think that there's no real limit to what he can accomplish. He's got those abilities and he's got that drive.
McKenna is the second Yukoner to play for Team Canada at the World Juniors, the other being Dylan Cousins, who won gold in 2020. Team Canada will open this year's tournament on Boxing Day in Ottawa with a game against Finland. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Love seeing all these Medicine Hat stories, and I love the Tigers. Finally tonight, a celebration in Manitoba this week following the release of a number of buffalo in Broken Head, Ojibwe Nation, located about 70 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. The buffalo were released on Tuesday evening in Broken Head, and they were welcomed by a drum song by the Jordan's Principal Drum Group. They were given to Broken Head from Zagami, a Anishinaabe nation located in southeast Saskatchewan. A previous herd was given to Zagami back in 2020. Since that time, that herd has grown large enough to be able to give part of the herd to Broken Head. Community members said they were very happy and proud to see the buffalo return to their nation. Beautiful stuff. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this weekend. I'm Dennis Ward. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.